Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope your hump day is going great. Tomas Patterson here with Boss Financial, and today I got a video for you guys that can really help if you're looking to get your finances on track, okay? So if you have some debt or maybe a lot of debt that you're trying to escape from, or maybe if you have even no debt and you're just looking to learn how to continue to stay out of this debt and basically just be good at managing your money. So today we're going to talk about budgeting, and budgeting is an extremely important thing, guys. I can't stress that enough. And most people, when they hear the word budget, okay, they get scared. They think that it's this really complex thing, but it doesn't need to be. Instead of assuming that this is a time-consuming or a daunting task, okay, that's going to end up confusing you, instead realize that it's a way to do some self-reflection, okay, for you to see how your financial health is and how to maintain this health. Because 9 times out of 10, okay, even if you disagree, I can almost guarantee that if you're not doing a budget at some form, then something is going to happen to you, and that something is not good. So before I get into that, I just want to remind you to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, smash that subscribe button if you want to become a part of the family. You know, I'm posting regular content now, about 2 a week, and also hit the notification bells if you want to stay in the loop there. So I've kept you wondering, you know, what exactly could happen if I don't budget? I seem to be doing all right, Tomas. You know, everything's fine. My head's above water. Well, simply, guys, if you don't budget, then you're going to go into debt. That's right. If you're not budgeting, then you will wind up in debt. These days it's easy. In fact, it's so easy for you to get into debt, okay? I would even argue that it's easier now to go into debt than ever before in human history. If you don't believe me, did you know that the average Canadian owes $1.70 for every dollar they earn? That's absolutely ridiculous, guys, okay? That means that consumer debt is 170% of disposable income. So if you're making $50,000 after taxes, it doesn't matter because you owe $85,000. Some of you might be sitting there thinking, well, Tomas, what do you mean? I don't owe anything. Who do I owe? What are you talking about? Is there something you're not telling me? Well, no, the simple fact is if you have no debt, then that just means that you're above average. And that's actually an amazing accomplishment or even a blessing to have a clean slate when it comes to debt. In fact, going further on that statistic, another 8% of Canadians have debt equal to 370% of their gross income, okay? That's absolutely tragic. You're very vulnerable at that point, and that's not a good situation at all. As interest rates have decreased over time, it's become increasingly easier for Canadians to be able to take on a higher debt load, okay? So that comes in things like credit cards, okay? And if I haven't said it enough, that's an extremely just terrible interest rate there. Also things like car loans, mortgages, all that stuff. This is because debt is just something that most people use to help make their spending habits feel more smooth or normal, okay? Don't believe me? When's the last time you went to get something that you actually didn't have the money for? So you ended up just boop, put it on your credit card. Especially these days with everything pretty much being digital, it's a lot easier to spend money you don't have just because when it's not in physical format, okay, you don't have that connection or that attachment to it. But trust me, there's absolutely nothing fun about paying interest on money you've already spent, okay? So as we talked about in other videos, this is like you taking your hard-earned money on a camping trip and you're just using it as your firewood there, okay? You're just lighting it on fire, gone. Same thing goes when it comes to getting a brand new car, okay? Everyone's fine with putting a couple thousand down, but then getting a loan for $20,000 or more for that car stretched over an amount of years, okay? But what happens if you had to fork up that $20,000 in cash from your pocket? Would you still get that car, or would you possibly reconsider? Do you even have that much money? It's an important topic to think about, okay? Because trust me, a good portion of the people I see every day, they can't even afford the car that they're driving. Now, don't get me wrong, they think they can. And the dealerships, the banks, they're going to allow them to continue thinking this way because they're giving them a loan that's stretched out over 5, 6, even 7 years. But meanwhile, they're being charged thousands of dollars of interest in the process. But in reality, there are people out there that are paying about half or even more of their take-home income, okay? And they're putting that towards their car loan and insurance every month. And that's not even factoring things like gas and maintenance. So it's a really scary situation, guys, and not a situation that you want to be putting yourself into. Instead of I can't afford this, but I'm going to buy it anyway. It should be more of how can I afford this, okay? If you're going to be financially stable or even financially independent in the future, then you're never going to grow your wealth if you have these pure, just terrible financial habits eating into all the growth that you might have. You need to really think ahead of time and figure out how you're going to prepare, how you're going to allocate the spending of this money. And the way you do this, guys and gals, that's using a budget. You don't need to be a financial advisor, okay? You don't need a degree from any university or college. You don't even have to come from a family of people that are good with their money, okay, to be good with your own money. Creating a budget isn't even difficult, okay? Just consider it a tool that you're going to use to help yourself afford the things that you consider important. Important things might be vacation, retirement, getting an emergency savings going, paying down debt, buying a new house, or even doing home renovations. Also importantly, guys, always use a budget to pay yourself first, okay? So one of the most important reasons I use a budget is obviously to make sure I have enough money at the end of the month, at the end of every pay, whatever, to take care of the things that need taken care of. But after this, the most important reason I use a budget for is to make sure that I'm able to pay myself, okay? That means I'm budgeting it in as an expense. And that's the real difference between someone who pays himself first and someone who pays himself after expenses, okay? If you wait every time to pay yourself after pretty much all your money's given up, then you're going to have a really hard time, okay? Believe me, trying to save up or trying to invest for retirement or even beyond. Now, this is why you need to go and track your expenses, okay? I feel like this is the main reason people have an issue when it comes to budgeting, okay? And that's just simply because they don't want to take the little amount of time it takes to possibly uncover a huge realization. That, or they just really don't want to come to terms with their financial habits or face how much money they've been mishandling. It's really easy, especially these days, with every one of your transactions that's been done through a debit or credit card, to check your transaction or your purchase history, okay? So I suggest going back 3 months, maybe even 6 months or a year if you have that much time, okay? And really just see where your money's been going. Track the amounts you tend to spend on certain categories over time. See where you're spending the most of your money. Are there any purchases on there that you look back now and you just cringe when you see them or you regret it? Or, are there things on there that are regular but you don't actually really need them? It's good to look at your purchase history and your financial statements because this helps you uncover certain areas that you could be cutting back on, okay? And when you cut back on these expenses, it just frees up more money that could be used elsewhere, or better yet, working for you. So what am I talking about here? Well, pretty much the same kind of stuff I mentioned in every video, okay guys? That's investing, doing stuff that's going to get a return on your money. So things like the real estate market, doing real estate, starting your own business, doing the stock market. It doesn't matter, the list goes on. Just in the end, the goal's all the same, and you want to grow and increase your wealth over time. Sometimes it can be hard to see where your money's going, okay? Especially if you're not trying to see. So people that put a blindfold on, put their horse blinders on. So right now, just see what's currently causing that leaky hole in your bucket of money. This is where it becomes important to really recognize the difference between wants and needs, okay? And to drill into your head the fact that you shouldn't be out here spending a lot of your disposable income on just wants, okay? And this is going to come with time. It's going to come with consistency and repetition, as most habits do. Might be difficult over time, but as you get into this new rhythm, this new mindset, it's going to get easier and you're going to start to recognize the beneficial effects and you might end up even enjoying it. Now, what's considered excessive is obviously subjective, okay? It varies from person to person, but if you're being open and you're being honest with yourself, then it really shouldn't be hard at all to tell what's helping you get to where you want to go and what's not helping you get to where you want to go. For instance, say you're into photography, okay, and you go out and you buy this new camera that you're really into, you've been saving up for it, and it's really going to improve your shots. You consider it an investment in yourself. Now, I'm not saying go out and, buy merchandise, but in this case, it's something that's actually going to have some sort of tangible value to you, even if it's just from personal use or even a business. Compared to as if you were to spend all your hard-earned money every week on drinks, okay, on the weekends. Now this adds up, guys, believe me. Or you could be someone who likes to eat out a lot, okay, even though you have food at home and you know it. Okay, you know it. You're not going to die if you don't get that double bacon cheeseburger, okay? And just believe me, it's one of the easiest ways to watch your money disappear. So you might be sitting there thinking, okay, I could see how budgeting is important, but if it's really not that hard, then how can I do one myself? Where do I get started? Well, it's actually really simple at its basic form. I could sit here and I could tell you allocations for like the perfect budget, by category, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, everyone's different. And who am I to be sitting here telling you how to spend your money? I have no idea who you are, what your goals might be, what your income's even like. So all I can do is I could just give you the knowledge, the information, and the tools to help apply to yourself to start managing your money properly. It's my hope that you'll start to benefit from this over time and you'll start to learn what kind of spender you are, as well as come to an understanding of yourself and your own personal goals. For example, some people, even some advisors, might like to tell you, pay yourself 10 to 20% of your take home pay, okay? But for me, my personal goals, I like to budget in 30 to 40% of my take home pay paid to me and no one else. Without getting into stuff like preset percentages, stuff like that, like specific categories, you basically just want to take your income minus your expenses, and that's going to leave you with an amount at the end to put towards things that you want to do. So you could do this every month, but me personally, I like to budget down to a T. So that's based off of every pay, which is bi-weekly or every 2 weeks. You might want to do a budget up to like 6 months, even a year out if you got that much time, if you want to be that much prepared. With these days, it's really not that hard with computers, especially since you have things like Microsoft Excel, where you can pretty much just copy a lot of the same data, a lot of the same formulas, and pretty much just compile a bunch of spreadsheets into one. This helps make sure that you have enough money for every expense that needs to be paid, and you're not going to run out of cash waiting for your next pay. So consider Billy here. For the sake of simplicity, let's just say that Billy is budgeting for the whole month. Billy, after taxes, makes $3,000 a month, but he also has to pay expenses. He has a car loan that's costing him $400 a month. He has to pay rent to his landlord, that's $850 a month, and he also has a cell phone bill for $100 a month. So Billy likes to eat, as you know, he's a human being, okay? So he likes to budget himself $200 a month for groceries and food. And he also has a payment of $300 on a student loan, as he's also a recent grad. Oh, and let's not forget insurance for his car, that's costing him $200 a month, as well as $75 for an internet bill. This means that at the end of the month, Billy only has $875 left to work with. Now, some people might say, hey, that's plenty enough, okay? But remember, this is all the money that Billy has left over to put towards anything he wants to do in life, okay? And that's potentially leaving out minor expenses too. Things like if he's budgeting for entertainment, if he has to get a haircut, or maybe if he even has a gym membership. Things like children can really have a huge impact on your disposable income, guys. So consider that as well as things like taxes on your house if you own it, okay? Maybe you're paying outstanding credit card balances, things like that, vacations, car repairs. Just anything that takes money out of your account, that's an expense. And this doesn't even factor in all the money that Billy wants to put away in savings or invest for retirement. As we talked about before, Billy should be paying himself and factoring this into his budget. As you can see, at least from a very basic standpoint, that it's pretty easy to blow through your paycheck, okay? And if you're like the majority of people out there, then that means it might be harder to increase your income because you only have one source of income, that's your job, and it's probably not commission. And the way to help combat this is to do a budget, okay? And that's going to help you make room where areas in the past you might not have considered there to be room. This budget tells you if you're going to have enough money after expenses left over to do all the things that you want to do, okay? And if things aren't working out, here's the best part. You now have the opportunity to go in there and to move things around, reallocate things and to try and make them work out, at least to the best situation possible. I have my budget on an Excel file. It's a little more complicated. It's not as basic, but I find myself at the end of the day usually hopping on there, checking it over, and making some changes, okay? That means moving some things around from A to B, changing the amounts, reallocating funds, and that gives me some closure at the end of the day. And I think it's this active management, this awareness that's really going to make the big difference in your life to making sure that you're on top of your finances and also ensuring that you're never going to end up in the red. A budget is an extremely important tool to help you stay out of debt, as well as if you are in debt, then it's a good tool to help you start working your way out of debt. So guys, the most important thing you should take away from this video is a concept you'll hear me saying a lot, okay? And that's just to take action. Actually have some initiative, have some care about your personal finances, and just go out there and take the time to do the things that I've covered in this video today. That means review your transactions, okay? Your purchase history, see where you like to spend the majority of your money and see if there's areas that you can cut back on, okay? And do your budget. It will get better with time and you'll definitely start to get more comfortable as you understand your situation, kind of where you're sitting at, and you're gonna have less risk of overspending and winding up in debt, which you're just going to regret down the line. Don't just see a number in your bank account, okay? And just continue to drain it without having any idea of how you're sitting, but also don't be the person that's afraid to pull up your phone, okay? Afraid to check your balance because you have just that terrible of spending habits. Just do me a favor, okay? Go to the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, okay, eye to eye, and take the steps towards conquering this today, okay? So you can lead yourself to a successful financial future and focus on growing your wealth. With that, guys, is the end of today's video, the importance of budgeting. I really hope I was able to teach you a few things, as well as I really hope that I was able to open your eyes as to what's down the line. If you're not doing a budget, okay, even at its simplest form, you're going to end up in debt, okay, one way or the other. It's simple as that, whether you want to accept it or not. If you like today's video, please absolutely destroy that like button. If you want to continue to see more of my posts, smash that subscribe button if you want to continue to support me and join me on my YouTube journey here and help me try to grow my channel. I post regularly about pretty much anything personal finance, investing, the stock market, wealth building, all things like that. So thank you. I very much appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram at Boss Financial Channel. Any questions or comments, leave those down below, as well as if you have any budgeting tips, okay? Feel free to leave those there to help with the YouTube community, the Boss Financial community. It's always good to share those things. And yeah, with that, thanks for watching, guys and gals. Stay positive and see you next time.